Flora's phone screen lit up in the dark hospital room, and her world shattered all over again. The photo showed Zara, her 3-day-old daughter, sleeping peacefully in the hospital bassinet, tiny fists curled beside her perfect face. But Flora hadn't taken this picture. The angle was wrong, too close, shot from directly above like someone had been standing over her baby, watching her sleep. Below the image, words that made Flora's blood freeze. "Congratulations on the baby. Such a shame about what's coming. Marcus was just the beginning. The real architect of your destruction is still out there, still planning, still watching. And when you least expect it, when you're finally happy, I'm taking everything. See you soon, Mrs. Cheng." Flora's hands shook so violently she nearly dropped the phone. "Cheng Mao." He was beside her instantly, his body going rigid as he read the message. In the dim light, she watched his face cycle through shock, then fury, then something cold and lethal that made him look like a stranger. "Someone was in this room," he said, his voice deadly quiet. "While we slept. Someone stood over our daughter and photographed her." Flora couldn't breathe. They'd just survived Marcus Chen's attack. Just brought Zara into the world after 14 hours of labor. Just started believing they might actually be safe. And now this. Now if you're already hooked and that just gave you chills, hit that like button right now. Your support keeps these stories coming. And trust me, you're not ready for the betrayal that's about to unfold. Cheng Mao was already calling Agent Park, one hand moving to position himself between the bassinet and the door. Flora watched him transform exhausted new father to something dangerous and protective. "Get here now," he said into the phone. Someone breached Flora's room. "Our daughter was photographed." "No, Marcus is still in custody. This is someone else." He paused, listening. "I don't care what protocols say. We're not staying in this room another second." Within the hour, they were moving. Nurses protested Flora had given birth 3 days ago. Zara was so tiny, but Cheng Mao's expression brooked no argument. Agent Park arrived with a security detail that swept them out through a service entrance while her team secured the hospital room as a crime scene. Flora held Zara against her chest in the back of Cheng Mao's car, one hand supporting her daughter's tiny head, the other gripping her husband's arm like he was the only solid thing in a tilting world. Every car that passed made her flinch. Every shadow looked like a threat. "Where are we going?" she whispered. "Safe house. Location unknown to everyone except Agent Park's team. No staff, no family, no one." His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. "Flora, listen to me. I will burn soul to the ground before I let anyone touch our daughter. There is nothing I won't do to keep you both safe." She believed him, had seen what he was capable of during the penthouse attack. But this felt different, more personal. Because wasn't just targeting them anymore, was targeting their newborn baby. The safe house was a modest apartment in a quiet neighborhood, the kind of place no one would associate with Korea's youngest billionaire CEO. Agent Park's team swept it 3 times for surveillance devices. Even then, Cheng Mao checked every room himself, behind pictures, under furniture, inside air vents. 48 hours of hospital security footage, Agent Park said, setting up her laptop. "Someone had to physically enter your room. We'll find them." But the footage revealed nothing useful. Nurses, doctors, cleaning staff, all with proper credentials, all doing their jobs. No one suspicious. No one who shouldn't have been there. Whoever was, they moved like a ghost. Flora sat in the safe house living room, Zara nursing at her breast, and felt the paranoia sink into her bones. Every person who'd smiled at their baby could be every friendly nurse could be a threat. How were they supposed to live like this? It had to be someone with hospital credentials, Detective Morrison said via video call. Someone who could move through that facility without raising suspicion. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Flora's father called 3 days later. "Ada, please listen. I've been working with Detective Morrison, feeding them information, and I found something." His voice was desperate, pleading. "A financial trail that doesn't match Marcus Chen's operation. The money funding everything, it came from Korea, from Seoul, from a numbered account that predates Marcus's involvement by years." Flora's breath caught. "You're saying someone in Korea has been planning this longer than Marcus? Not just someone with access to significant capital. Someone who knew about Cheng Mao long before the arranged marriage was even conceived." "Ada, I think has been watching you both for years, maybe decades. The investigation that followed was surgical. Detective Morrison and Agent Park tore through financial records, shell corporations, offshore accounts, and slowly, painstakingly, a picture began to emerge. The money trail led back through a maze of intermediaries, but one thing became clear: whoever M was, they had intimate knowledge of Cheng Industries, of Cheng Mao's father's will, of the family's deepest secrets. Flora spent those weeks in a fog of paranoia and exhaustion. Newborn life was hard enough without the constant fear that every knock on the door might be M. She barely slept. When she did, nightmares plagued her. Someone taking Zara from her arms, M's faceless presence watching from shadows. Cheng Mao was worse. She'd find him at 3 a.m, Zara sleeping on his bare chest while he reviewed security footage on his laptop. He was obsessive, paranoid, running himself into the ground. "You need sleep," she'd say. "I need to find M," he'd respond. Their relationship began fraying under the constant stress. They snapped at each other over small things. Cheng Mao became overprotective to the point of suffocation. Flora felt like she was drowning. And through it all, Zara grew. 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months. A beautiful baby with her mother's rich, dark skin and her father's striking features, completely oblivious to the danger surrounding her. The second message from M came on Zara's 3-month birthday. Flora's phone buzzed while she was nursing. Another photo. This time of the safe house exterior. The exact building they were hiding in. The exact window of their bedroom. "Did you really think you could hide from me? I've always known where you are. I could have taken everything at any moment. But where's the fun in that? I want you to suffer first, to know it's coming and be powerless to stop it. Your fear is delicious. M." The phone slipped from Flora's hands. "They know where we are. They've known the whole time. Agent Park moved them immediately. New safe house, new location, new security protocols. But the damage was done. If M had found them once, they could find them again. "We need to go on offense," Cheng Mao said during an emergency strategy meeting. "We can't just keep hiding and reacting. We need to draw M out." "Using what as bait?" Detective Morrison asked. Cheng Mao's eyes were cold. "Me. M wants to destroy me. So let's give them the opportunity. A public appearance. High profile. Irresistible target." "Absolutely not," Flora said immediately. "That's insane. It's the only way. We announce I'm giving a major press conference about the future of Cheng Industries. M won't be able to resist. They'll either show themselves or send someone, and we'll be ready." The argument that followed was their worst yet. Flora accused him of suicidal recklessness. He accused her of wanting to hide forever. They said things they didn't mean, things born of fear and exhaustion and 3 months of living in constant terror. It was Zara's crying that finally cut through their anger. Flora picked up their daughter, bouncing her gently, and felt the fight drain out of her. "If you die," she said quietly, "if M kills you at this press conference, what happens to us? To Zara? You think we're safe without you? You'll have protection. Resources. Everything you need. We need you, you idiot." Flora's voice broke. "Not your money, not your protection. You. Zara needs her father. I need my husband. So if you're going to walk into M's trap, then we're walking in with you." "Flora, no." "Yes. If we're targets together. No more splitting up. No more one of us being bait while the other hides. We're a family. We face this together." Cheng Mao stared at her for a long moment. Then he crossed the room and pulled her into his arms, Zara sandwiched safely between them. "Together," he whispered. "Always together." The press conference was scheduled for the following week at Cheng Industries headquarters. Security was airtight, or as airtight as it could be when you were deliberately creating an opportunity for your enemy to strike. Flora spent the days before preparing herself mentally. She'd fought for her life before. She'd protected Zara from kidnappers. She could do this. She had to do this. The morning of the press conference, she dressed carefully in a sharp navy business suit, her long black curly hair styled professionally. Cheng Mao wore one of his perfectly tailored charcoal suits. They looked like the power couple they'd become, poised, professional, untouchable. Zara stayed with Agent Park and a security detail at a separate location. Leaving her felt like ripping out Flora's heart, but she knew their baby was safer away from whatever was about to happen. The Cheng Industries building was surrounded by press, cameras, security. Flora and Cheng Mao entered through the front, making no attempt to hide. Let M see them. Let M make their move. The conference room was packed. Journalists, business leaders, shareholders, and somewhere among them, possibly M or M's representative, Cheng Mao took the podium. Flora stood to his right, scanning the crowd with eyes trained by months of paranoia. "Thank you all for coming," Cheng Mao began. "I've called this press conference to address recent events and to make an important announcement about Cheng Industries' future." That's when Flora saw her. In the third row, perfectly composed, wearing an elegant cream suit and a smile that didn't reach her eyes, Cheng Mao's mother. Madame Cheng had been at the hospital when Zara was born, had visited exactly once, for 10 minutes, bringing traditional Korean baby clothes and offering perfunctory congratulations before leaving. Flora hadn't thought much of it at the time. The woman had never been warm. But now, Flora's mind raced. The Korean source of funds, the long-term planning, the intimate knowledge of Cheng Mao's life, and vulnerabilities. The hospital access, she'd visited them. The safe house location, she had resources to find anything. Oh God, no. Flora's hand found Cheng Mao's arm, squeezing hard. He glanced at her, and she saw the exact moment he followed her gaze to his mother. Saw the realization hit him like a physical blow. Madame Cheng smiled. A small, cold smile of acknowledgement. She knew they'd figured it out. And she didn't care. Cheng Mao's hand moved to his pocket where his phone was recording everything. Agent Park was watching the live feed. They'd planned for this moment, for the reveal of M's identity. But planning and experiencing it were very different things. "Actually," Cheng Mao said, his voice steady despite the devastation Flora could see in his eyes, "there's been a change to today's agenda. Agent Park, would you please join us?" Agent Park entered from the side door, 2 NIS agents with her. The room buzzed with confusion. "Mother," Cheng Mao said, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "Or should I say, M, would you like to explain to everyone here why you've spent the last 3 years trying to destroy your own son?" The room exploded. Cameras flashed. Journalists shouted questions. And Madame Cheng sat perfectly still, her expression never changing. "You always were too smart for your own good," she said finally, her voice carrying despite the chaos. "Just like your father. This is about Dad?" Cheng Mao's voice cracked. "He's been dead for 8 years. What could you possibly—" "He left everything to you." The words came out like poison. "Decades of marriage. Everything I sacrificed. And he left it all to his precious son. Cut me out completely. Said I was too ruthless to be trusted with the company legacy." Flora felt sick. This woman had terrorized them, endangered their baby, destroyed lives all over money and wounded pride. "So you decided to prove him right?" Cheng Mao asked. "By being exactly the ruthless monster," he thought. "You were? I decided to take back what should have been mine. And if destroying you was the cost..." Madame Cheng shrugged elegantly. "Well, you're his son, his legacy. Destroying you destroys everything he built, everything he chose over me." Agent Park was moving toward her now, but Madame Cheng wasn't finished. "Do you know how easy it was?" she continued, her voice almost conversational. "The gay rumors. I started those when you were 23, kept you isolated, lonely, made sure no woman of proper status would want you. Then when you were sufficiently desperate, I approved the arrangement with the Nigerian girl. I knew you'd never actually fall in love with her. I knew the marriage would fail. And when it did, I'd be there to save the company, to prove I should have been in charge all along." Flora found her voice. "But we did fall in love. We ruined your plan." Madame Cheng's gaze shifted to her, cold and appraising. "Yes, that was unfortunate. I underestimated you. Girl, I thought you'd take the money and run. Instead, you fought for him, made him happy, made him stronger, got pregnant, and gave him an heir, which made his inheritance unbreakable." She smiled that terrible smile. "So, I adapted. If I couldn't destroy him through weakness, I'd destroy him through loss. Take away his wife, his child, break him completely." "You tried to have our daughter kidnapped," Cheng Mao said, and Flora heard murder in his voice. "Your own granddaughter. That baby is a symbol of everything your father chose over me. Of course I wanted her gone. His own mother was the villain this entire time. If that twist just destroyed you, smash that like button and drop a comment with your reaction. The most intense scene is still coming." The words hung in the air, so casual, so monstrous. Flora felt Cheng Mao trembling beside her, felt his control fracturing. "You're not my mother," he said quietly. "You're nothing to me. Nothing." Agent Park reached Madame Cheng then, 2 NIS agents flanking her. "Madame Cheng, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, attempted kidnapping, corporate espionage, and about 15 other charges we'll detail at the station." Madame Cheng rose gracefully, extending her wrists for the handcuffs like a queen offering her hand to be kissed. "This isn't over," she said to Cheng Mao. "I have lawyers, resources. You think you've won, but we have your confession," Agent Park interrupted. "Live streamed to thousands of people, recorded, witnessed, and we have financial records, meeting transcripts, surveillance footage. You're done." For the first time, something cracked in Madame Cheng's composure. Flora saw it the moment she realized she'd lost, that her years of planning, her web of schemes, her carefully constructed revenge had crumbled. And then she smiled. One last terrible smile, perhaps, but at least I'll have the satisfaction of knowing I broke you, my son, that you'll never be able to look at me without remembering that I tried to murder your child. That's a wound that will never heal. She was right. Flora saw it in Cheng Mao's eyes. This betrayal, this revelation, it would scar him forever. But before Flora could speak, before she could offer comfort, someone else stepped forward from the crowd. Mincio. She walked up to Cheng Mao, her expression gentle and sad. "I know this doesn't help right now, but I need to tell you something. I need to explain." "Mincio?" Cheng Mao looked confused. "What are you?" "I'm NIS, National Intelligence Service. I have been for 10 years. She pulled out credentials. "I was assigned to investigate your mother 8 years ago when your father died. We suspected the circumstances. We suspected her involvement. I was planted in your life to gather evidence." The room spun. Flora grabbed Cheng Mao's arm to steady both of them. "You never loved me?" he asked, his voice broken. "I did. That was the problem. I was supposed to stay objective, tell you for information, but I fell for you, really fell. And when I realized how deep your mother's corruption went, how dangerous she was," Minceo's voice cracked, "I had to leave, to protect you. If I'd stayed, she would have killed you to silence me. So I left, and I let you think I'd broken your heart, because that was safer than the truth." Cheng Mao looked like he'd been hit by a truck. Flora felt like she'd been hit by one too. Everything they thought they knew was unraveling. "I've spent the last 8 years building a case against her," Mincio continued. "Every meeting, every transaction, every crime. I have it all. And when I heard she was targeting you again, I came back. I warned Flora at the gala because I couldn't watch you be destroyed." "You could have told me," Cheng Mao said. "All these years." "I couldn't. Operational security." But Cheng Mao Mincio reached out, then pulled back, aware of Flora standing right there. "You need to know. What we had was real. My leaving destroyed me too, but I'd do it again to keep you safe." Flora didn't know what to feel. This woman had loved her husband, still loved him, clearly, but had sacrificed that love to protect him, and now stood here, helping bring down the monster who'd birthed him. "Thank you," Flora heard herself say. All eyes turned to her, for protecting him, for helping us, for saving our family. Mincio's eyes filled with tears. "You made him whole, Flora. You made him happy in ways I never could. I'm glad he found you." Agent Park was escorting Madame Cheng out now, the woman's hands cuffed behind her back, cameras capturing every moment. The press conference had become something else entirely, a public expose of corruption and betrayal that would dominate headlines for months. But Flora didn't care about any of that. She only cared about the man beside her, who'd just learned his mother had spent years trying to kill him, and that the woman he'd thought broke his heart had actually, they loved him enough to leave. They left through a back entrance, Agent Park's team clearing the way. In the car, Cheng Mao finally broke. He doubled over, hands in his hair, and sobbed like a child. Flora held him. She didn't try to fix it or make it better. She just held him while he fell apart, while the foundations of his entire life crumbled. "She tried to kill our baby," he kept saying. "My mother tried to kill Zara. What kind of person does that? What kind of monster?" His voice broke completely. "What if I'm like her? What if there's something in me, something broken?" "Stop." Flora gripped his face, forcing him to look at her. "You are nothing like her. Nothing. You know how I know? Because she could plan to hurt a child and feel nothing. And you can't even think about it without breaking. You're a good man, Cheng Mao. A good father. Her actions don't define you. How can you be sure? Because I've seen you with Zara. I've watched you hold her like she's made of glass. Sing to her when she cries. Check her breathing 17 times a night because you're terrified something will happen. Your mother is cold. Calculating. Incapable of love. You're the opposite of everything she is. He pulled her close, and they sat like that for a long time, broken and healing in equal measure. When they finally made it back to the safe house, Agent Park was waiting with Zara. The baby was crying, hungry and upset from being away from her parents. Flora took her immediately, cradling her close, and felt some of the day's horror wash away. Cheng Mao watched them, his expression devastated and awed all at once. Hold your daughter, Flora said gently. Hold her and remember what you're fighting for. He took Zara carefully, settling her against his chest. The baby's cries quieted immediately, her tiny fist curling into his shirt, and Flora watched her strong, powerful husband cry silent tears while their daughter gazed up at him with complete trust. I won't let her poison this, he whispered. I won't let her take this away from us. She already lost, Flora said. The moment you held Zara and felt love instead of calculation, she lost. You're not her son anymore. You're Zara's father. My husband. That's who you are. But Madame Cheng wasn't done yet. 3 weeks later, on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, Flora was home alone with Zara, while Cheng Mao attended what was supposed to be an emergency board meeting. Later, they'd discover the meeting had been fake, a call placed by one of Madame Cheng's remaining contacts to get him out of the house. Flora was in the nursery, changing Zara's diaper, and singing softly to her daughter. When she heard it, glass breaking downstairs, her blood went cold. They'd upgraded security after the press conference, had panic buttons in every room, had guards outside. But she was alone with her baby, and someone was in the house. Flora scooped Zara up, holding her close to her chest. The baby sensed her mother's fear, and started to whimper. Flora pressed her lips to Zara's head, moving quickly but quietly toward the bedroom where the panic button was installed. She almost made it. The bedroom door burst open, and a man stood there. Young, Korean, masked, desperate-looking. Flora didn't think. She didn't hesitate. She threw herself between the intruder and her daughter, using her body as a shield. Don't you dare touch her, she said, her voice low and deadly. The man lunged forward. Flora kicked out hard, her foot connecting with his knee. He stumbled, and she ran not for the panic button anymore, but for the bathroom. The only room with a lock strong enough to buy her time. She made it inside, slammed the door, locked it with shaking hands. Zara was screaming now, her cries piercing the air. Flora held her close, fumbling for her phone with one hand while keeping the other wrapped protectively around her daughter. She called Cheng Mao. He answered on the first ring. Flora? What? Someone's in the house, she said, her voice remarkably calm despite the terror coursing through her. I'm locked in the bathroom with Zara. Cheng Mao, please. The door shook as the intruder threw himself against it. Wood splintered. Zara's screams intensified. I'm coming. I'm 2 minutes away. Flora, listen to me, there's a gun in the drawer under the sink. Can you reach it? Flora shifted Zara to one arm, yanked open the drawer, found the gun. She'd never been more grateful for Cheng Mao's paranoia. The door burst open, the lock giving way. Flora pointed the gun with both hands. Zara clutched against her chest. Stop right there. I will shoot you. I swear to God I will kill you if you take one more step toward my daughter. The man froze. He stared at her, at the gun, at the baby screaming against her chest. Then slowly he raised his hands and pulled off his mask. He was young, maybe 25. His face was terrified, tears streaming down his cheeks. Please, he said. Please, I'm sorry. I wasn't supposed to hurt anyone. I was just hired to take the baby. I needed the money. My mother is sick, and I couldn't afford her treatment. And someone offered me so much money just to bring the baby to who? Flora demanded, her voice shaking but the gun steady. Who hired you? The grandmother. Madame Cheng. She contacted me from prison. Said she just wanted to see her granddaughter. That the father was keeping the baby from her. She said it was just a custody dispute. I didn't know, I swear I didn't know it was kidnapping. I thought I was helping a grandmother see her grandchild. Flora heard sirens in the distance, heard Cheng Mao's car screeching to a stop outside. But she didn't lower the gun. Not until security burst in. Not until Agent Park's team secured the man. Not until she was absolutely certain her daughter was safe. Then Cheng Mao was there, and she collapsed into his arms, Zara safe between them. "You're bleeding," he said, noticing the cut on her forehead where she'd hit the doorframe during her rush to the bathroom. "I'm fine. Zara's fine. We're both fine." But her hands were shaking so violently she could barely hold her daughter. The adrenaline was wearing off, and in its place came the crushing realization of how close she'd come to losing everything. Cheng Mao took Zara gently, then pulled Flora close with his free arm. "You saved her," he whispered. "You saved our daughter. I had to. She's ours. She's everything." The young man's testimony was damning. Madame Cheng had reached out from prison through a burner phone one of her former employees had smuggled in. She'd promised him money, convinced him it was a custody dispute, played on his desperation to help his sick mother. When confronted with this new evidence, when told that her hired kidnapper had confessed everything, Madame Cheng showed no remorse. "That child shouldn't exist," she said coldly during the interrogation, her words recorded for evidence. "None of this should exist. The marriage should have failed. She should have left. The baby should never have been born. It's all wrong. All of it." The trial took 3 months. Flora attended every single day, Zara in her arms or with a security detail nearby. She wanted that woman to see what she'd failed to destroy, a family, intact and strong and full of love. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence. Financial records showing years of embezzlement and conspiracy. Marcus Chen's testimony about being hired and funded by Madame Cheng. Minseo's 8 years of undercover work. The recorded confession from the press conference. The attempted kidnapping. Everything. The defense tried to paint Madame Cheng as a grieving widow driven to temporary madness by her husband's betrayal. But the evidence showed years of calculated planning. This wasn't grief, this was revenge. When the verdict came down guilty on all counts, life in prison without possibility of parole, Flora felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just exhaustion, and a profound relief that it was finally over. Cheng Mao sat perfectly still as the sentence was announced, his hand gripping Flora's so hard it hurt. His mother didn't look at him, didn't acknowledge him, just stared straight ahead as she was led away in handcuffs. That night, lying in bed with Flora curled against his side and Zara in her bassinet next to them, Cheng Mao finally let himself feel it. "It's done," he said quietly. "She's gone. She can't hurt us anymore." "How do you feel?" "Relieved, destroyed, grateful, angry." He laughed bitterly. "Everything and nothing. Is that normal? I think you're allowed to feel however you feel. She was your mother. Even a terrible mother is still a mother. You're allowed to grieve that. I keep thinking about Zara, about the kind of parent I want to be, and all I have as a reference is a woman who tried to murder her own grandchild." Flora propped herself up on one elbow, looking at him in the dim light. "You also have your father, who loved you enough to trust you with everything. And you have me. My parents might be complicated, but they love me. We'll figure this out together. We'll be the parents we wish we'd had." "What if I mess her up? What if—" "Look at her." Flora gestured to Zara, sleeping peacefully in her bassinet. "You're already a better parent than your mother ever was. Because you're worried about messing up. Because you care. That's all that matters." 6 months after the trial, they renewed their vows. It was nothing like their wedding, no spectacle, no press, no business associates treating it like a networking opportunity, just family and real friends in a small ceremony at a garden venue outside Seoul. Flora's parents flew in from Lagos. Her father had been sober for a year now, had rebuilt his business legitimately, was slowly becoming someone Flora could respect again. Her mother was fully recovered, healthier than she'd been in 2 years. Amara stood as maid of honor, tears streaming down her face as she watched her best friend marry the same man for the second time, but this time by choice. Agent Park and Detective Morrison sat in the front row, these two people who'd helped save their lives now witnessing the life they'd fought for. And Minseo was there too. She'd become an unexpected friend to Flora over the months following the trial. 2 women who both loved Cheng Mao in different ways, who'd both sacrificed for him, now standing together as allies. Zara was their flower girl, toddling down the aisle in Flora's arms, giggling at the attention, her mixed Nigerian-Korean features beautiful in the soft afternoon light. When it was time for vows, Cheng Mao took Flora's hands. He'd written his own this time, real ones, true ones. "I was arranged to marry you," he said, his voice clear and steady. "I was supposed to stay distant, cold, unfeeling. Instead, you taught me how to be human, how to love, how to be a father, how to choose family over blood. You saved me, Flora, from my mother's poison, from my own isolation, from a life of loneliness I thought was strength. I choose you, not because I have to, not because of any contract or arrangement, but because I want to. Because you're my home, because every morning I wake up grateful that your father's desperation and my mother's schemes and 100 terrible circumstances brought you to me. I choose you. Every day, forever." Flora smiled through her tears. She'd written her vows too. "I was sold into this marriage. I came here a victim, a pawn in other people's games. You taught me to be a warrior, a mother, a partner. Together, we survived impossible things. Your mother's conspiracy, Marcus Chen, attacks and threats and betrayal from every direction. We survived because we chose each other. And now?" She squeezed his hands. "I choose you, not because of any arrangement or debt or obligation, not because I have to, but because I want to, because I love you, because you're an amazing father, because Zara deserves to grow up seeing what real love looks like, the kind that's chosen, not assigned, the kind that fights for each other, the kind that survives everything and comes out stronger. I choose you, Cheng Mao." Every day, forever, they kissed, and their small gathering of loved ones applauded, and Zara giggled from Flora's hip, and it was perfect, real, theirs. Later, at the small reception, Flora's father approached them. He looked older, grayer, but cleaner somehow, sober, present. "Ada," he said quietly. "Cheng Mao, I need to say something." They stopped, waiting. "I failed you, Ada. I sold you into this arrangement to save myself. And yes, Madame Cheng manipulated me. Yes, she threatened your mother. Put me in an impossible position. But I still made the choice. I chose my comfort, my safety, over yours. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Flora looked at this man who'd caused so much pain, who'd set in motion the roop, events that had nearly destroyed them all. And she thought about Cheng Mao, learning to forgive himself for his mother's sins even though they weren't his to carry. Thought about the family she wanted Zara to grow up in. Thought about the fact that if her father hadn't made that terrible choice, she never would have found Cheng Mao. "I forgive you, Papa," she said quietly. "Not because you deserve it, not because what you did was okay, but because I don't want to carry that anger anymore. Because Zara deserves to know her grandfather. Because families are complicated and messy and we do our best with what we have." Her father cried then. Proper, ugly crying, and Flora let him, understanding now that forgiveness was as much for her as for him. Minseo found Flora later, as the sun was setting and guests were dancing. "Thank you for inviting me," Minseo said. "I know it must be strange having your husband's ex at your vow renewal. Thank you for coming. Protect him. That matters. He's happy now. Really happy. You can see it in everything he does." Minseo smiled. "I loved him once. Maybe I still do in some way. But you love him better. You made him whole in ways I never could. And I'm genuinely glad he found you." Flora reached out and squeezed her hand. "He needed both of us. You to protect him when he didn't know he needed protecting. Me to love him when he'd forgotten how to be loved. We both saved him in different ways." That night, back in their penthouse, reclaimed, secured. But finally feeling like home again, Flora stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows with Zara in her arms, soul stretched out below them, glittering and vast and beautiful. Cheng Mao came up behind her, wrapping his arms around them both. "We made it," he said quietly. "We did. I love you. I know. I love you too." Zara yawned, her tiny fist curling around Flora's finger. This baby they'd made together, this family they'd chosen, the arranged marriage was over. This was real. This was forever. 1 year after the vow renewal, they threw Zara's first birthday party. A small affair in their penthouse, just family and close friends. Flora watched Cheng Mao help Zara blow out her single candle, his face full of pure joy. Watched her father play with his granddaughter, sober and present and trying every day to be better. Watched Min-seo laugh at something Agent Park said. These two women who'd protected them in different ways, now becoming genuine friends. You look happy, Amara said, appearing at Flora's side with a glass of wine. I am. Is that weird? After everything we survived, everything we went through? Not weird. Earned. Amara squeezed her hand. You fought for this happiness. Both of you did. You get to enjoy it without guilt. That night, after everyone left and Zara was asleep in her crib, Flora and Cheng Mao stood at their windows again. Their ritual, their moment of peace. Do you ever think about it? Flora asked. The arrangement? How we started? Sometimes. Usually to marvel at how far we've come. How much we've survived. Do you think we would have found each other if it hadn't been arranged? If circumstances had been different? Cheng Mao considered this, looking out at Seoul's lights. I don't know. Maybe not. I was so closed off. So convinced I didn't need anyone. So broken by what I thought was Min-seo's betrayal. You probably would have walked right past me, and I would have been too stubborn to chase you. So you're saying you're glad my father sold me and your mother tried to kill us? He laughed, pulling her closer. I'm saying I'm glad that despite everything, despite the worst intentions from the worst people, we found each other anyway. We took their schemes and their hatred and their manipulation, and we turned it into this. Into us. Into Zara. Into a family built on choice and love and fighting for each other every single day. That's very poetic for a CEO. I have a good teacher. He kissed the top of her head. Flora, I need to tell you something. If it's bad news, I don't want to hear it. We've had enough bad news for a lifetime. It's not bad news. He turned her to face him, his hands gentle on her face. It's the opposite of bad news. Then what? I want another baby. Flora stared at him, surprised. Another baby? We barely survived having Zara with people trying to kill us. You want to do that again? Not the attempted murder part. Just the baby part. Zara needs a sibling. I want our family to grow. He paused, vulnerable in a way he'd only learned to be with her. I want to fill this huge penthouse with kids and noise and chaos. I want to be the parent I never had. I want to give Zara what I never had: siblings, family, love that isn't conditional on business success or family legacy. I want more of this. More of us. Flora felt tears prick her eyes. You know, there's something you should probably know then. What? She took his hand and placed it on her still flat stomach. I'm pregnant. About 6 weeks. I found out yesterday. I was waiting for the right moment to tell you. Cheng Mao's face went through about 17 emotions in 3 seconds. Shock. Joy. Fear. Excitement. Love. Wonder. He lifted her off her feet, spinning her around, then immediately set her down carefully like she was made of glass. We're having another baby? His voice cracked with emotion. We're having another baby. When? Early summer, if everything goes well. He pulled her close, his hands already moving protectively to her stomach. Another little warrior to protect. Another chance to be the parents we want to be. Another miracle rising from the ashes of everything we survived. They stood like that for a long time, planning their future while Seoul glittered below them. Two people who'd been sold into an arrangement and had chosen to build something beautiful from it. Who'd faced impossible odds and won. Who'd learned that family wasn't about blood or obligation but about choice and love and fighting for each other every single day. The arranged marriage was over. This was forever. And it was everything they'd never known they needed. From arranged marriage to choosing forever, Flora and Cheng Mao survived the impossible and won. If this trilogy wrecked you, hit that like and subscribe. Drop a comment. Should we do a bonus episode with Zara growing up? Thank you for this journey.